Owns in fantasy. Michael Fabiano is here. The answer may surprise you, or it may not. I don't know. And look who's 3-0. And look where the Bills are in our new power rankings. That's coming up as well. Plus, we'll talk to Micah Hyde. He'll join us live on Bills Cam from Buffalo. But we begin here with some Kyle Allen news. New right now. You better get used to Kyle Allen as quarterback in Carolina. That foot injury could be a Lisfranc injury, which is a mid-foot sprain. And those aren't just 1 to 2 week injuries. Tom Pelissero is with us for more on this one, more on what could be, Tom, and I'm going to say it here, a long-term injury. I don't want to say months and months, but when you hear Lisfranc, it's not a 1 or 2 week thing.
Well, that's right, Andrew. And really, a Lisfranc is a more severe version of what the Panthers have been saying that this injury is, which is a mid-foot sprain that Cam Newton first suffered back in the preseason. He then aggravated it a couple of weeks ago. Of course, we know he did not play last week. He's also been ruled out for this week's game against the Texans. Now, my understanding is, as of now, there are no plans for Cam Newton to have surgery. His hope is that he is going to rehab and try to get back onto the field. But if you look at how the Panthers' schedule stacks up after this game, they got 2 more in Week 5 and Week 6 before they get to a Week 7 bye. At minimum, you would think that there is a pretty good chance Kyle Allen will be the Panthers quarterback for that amount of time. Then that also raises the question of if Kyle Allen continues to play as he did this past week against Arizona, what would have to happen for them to stop riding the hot hand? There's a lot of different questions here, but you saw Ron Rivera say yesterday Cam Newton needs to get back to being 100% healthy. That's different than just saying Cam Newton needs to get healthy enough to play. Certainly sounds as if they are going to continue to ride Kyle Allen for the time being and try to make sure that Cam Newton has ample amount of time to rest.
And this is a Cam Newton, when 100% healthy a couple of years ago, was an MVP. When healthy last year, this team was 6-2 at the halfway point before he hurt his shoulder in that primetime game in Pittsburgh. So we have seen that healthy Cam Newton still be at the top of his game recently. But Kyle Allen is 2-0 as a starter with 6 touchdowns and no interceptions. So that is certainly one to follow. And we're also following in Jacksonville, Tom, the story of Jalen Ramsey, who wants to trade and called in sick on Monday. Do we have any idea how he's feeling?
Well, first of all, Jalen Ramsey called in first on Sunday night and said he would not be able to practice on Monday. I'm told he actually was in the building yesterday but did not participate in practice. We've got a break from the drama today because the Jaguars players are off. They'll be back on the practice field tomorrow to begin preparation in earnest for Sunday's game against the Broncos, and we'll see whether or not Jalen Ramsey is a part of that. Now, I've checked in with a bunch of different teams that had varying degrees of interest in Jalen Ramsey, and they all say it is quiet right now on the trade front. We know that the Jaguars have made clear to other teams that they are not going to trade Jalen Ramsey unless they get an offer they can't refuse. In their initial round of calls, they said that would take 2 first-round draft picks. It's a huge price for a very good player, but one who also is coming up on a bar-setting contract that's going to pay Jalen Ramsey upwards of $15 or $16 million per year. So the question becomes, do the Jaguars at some point lower the price, start making calls again, or do they wait it out here, say we're not getting our price, and trust that Jalen Ramsey is going to continue to show up and do his job on game day as he did last week against the Titans? For now, Jalen Ramsey's trade request, though, still stands, Andrew.
And I think it is a notable distinction, which you made there. He didn't call in on Monday morning. The decision was made to call in and say, I'm too sick to come in on Sunday evening. Take that for whatever it is worth. Now, Jacoby Brissett and T.Y. Hilton were at work on Sunday because they did not play on Thursday. They played in the regularly scheduled time slot. T.Y. Hilton caught himself a touchdown and then shortly thereafter went back up the tunnel. He had been questionable coming into the quad, but it looked like that quad got him again. What's the latest on him?
Well, Frank Reich was on Good Morning Football today and said that for now, T.Y. Hilton is categorized as day by day. He also pointed out that T.Y. Hilton last year showed, because he was dealing with a lot of different injuries, that he can still play well on Sundays without practicing a whole lot earlier in the week. That jives with the way that I've heard it on T.Y. Hilton, which is don't even count him out to play this Sunday. Now, we saw some of the things that Hilton said that sounded ominous about they didn't want to put him back into the game because they were scared that he was going to tear the quad. This, though, is a player, Andrew, that has missed only 4 games in his entire NFL career, and that is not for a lack of being on the injury report at times. T.Y. Hilton has shown some toughness. Wright considers him one of the best receivers in the NFL. We'll see whether or not he makes enough progress here for them to take that any chance, whatever it might be, and put him on the field this Sunday against the Raiders.
Yeah, you don't want to push it, but T.Y. Hilton was a huge part, a huge reason why the Colts were able to win that game. Week 3. Thank you, Tom Pelissero. More coming up a little bit later. You know, I was joking about the Dwayne Haskins thing earlier. If you're waiting for Dwayne Haskins Week 4 against the Giants, you're probably going to have to wait a little bit longer. Jay Gruden, after the Redskins lost to the Bears Monday night at FedEx, said, not yet.
Not really, no. I think the most important thing is we have to have some continuity. You know, I can't be changing people every 5 minutes here. So I think I got to give Case an ample opportunity to play with these new guys. I mean, this is his first time in this offense, really. You know, Donald Penn, Eric Flowers, their first time in this offense. You know, Trey Quinn only played 2 games last year. I made this point before. We're not going to be perfect, but we need to be better, and I think we can get better. Otherwise, if I didn't think we had a chance to get better, then I would make a change. But I feel like Case has the tools to become a very efficient quarterback in this offense and get us some victories here moving forward.
So Jay Gruden is not making a change. Should he make the change? What does he have to lose? We got Charlie Casserly, our former Redskins GM, in on that conversation. Coming up a little bit later on this hour of NFL Now.
Wentz fires, he completes it, spinning as Aguilar breaks the tackle. He's in for a touchdown.
Touchdown Green Bay, 40-yard bomb. Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
He's hit, he's sacked. The Eagles got him.
Leaping interception. King's got it. Green Bay football. Coming up, Packers Eagles on Thursday night.
All right, Thursday night football is, shortly over 48 hours away. Hard to believe, Mike Garafolo, and that's all I could think of watching the Eagles lose this past Sunday is, man, how does this banged-up team get ready to get on a plane and go to Green Bay and play a huge game? How are the Eagles looking health-wise with everything now?
Alshon Jeffrey back on the field participating in walkthrough on Tuesday here, so that is a good sign. The expectation, the hope, I don't know which word you want to use, but it's looking good for Alshon Jeffrey this week to get back on the field after missing only 1 game with the calf injury. No Deshaun Jackson as well. He's going to be out. The question with him is he going to be able to make the turnaround for their next game against the Jets Week 5. But for right now, to get Alshon Jeffrey back, a big body wide receiver that must be accounted for. They didn't have any of those guys on Sunday. Nelson Aguilar was their number 1 wide receiver. He stepped in. He did make that play that you just saw, but there were a couple of other plays that should have been caught by both him and some other wide receivers. Offensive coordinator Al Groh just speaking right now. He was trying to express confidence, saying that our guys have moved on. He talked about urgency and very, very high confidence as they head into this game against Green Bay. They better, because this is a good Green Bay defense that can take the football away. They've been working with their guys, reminding them that it's not just about tracking the ball, catching it, and following it all the way in. You have to grab the football and tuck it away, keep it away. Because one of those drops for Nelson Aguilar, he had the ball in his hands, put it away, was trying to put it away, and got it smacked out of his hands there.
Yeah, I love what Doug Peterson said yesterday. Doug, are there any coaching points on all those drops? And he went, coaching point? Yeah, catch the ball.
Right. And that's a simple way of saying it, but there is more technique to it. That's something you got to work on it somehow. So that's what Groh was saying, that the actual technique of doing it, they've got to work on that.
Yeah, and Groh also showed some confidence, expressed confidence, and backed up the rookie running back Miles Sanders, who had his fumble issues as well. Thankfully, he wasn't decapitated, regardless of whether or not there was a flag thrown on that kickoff. But it's not just him. They got to get all those backs going, Mike.
You know what? I'm just getting sidetracked now, but you know what I was thinking when he got his helmet ripped off? He's got a nose ring. I don't know how that thing's. That's the first thing I thought
didn't know
of. Maybe that would
like
get
the Alvin
caught.
Kamara
Yeah,
thing?
it's not. Well, it's not a hoop. It's just
like a stud.
It's a post. Anyway, I don't know why you would play with that. Anyway, Miles Sanders, yes, they are going to stick with him. In the words of Groh, we're not going to, quote, bury the guy on the bench. And a lot of other coaches would. I mean, let's talk about Foxborough. You know what happens up there when you fumble? You go find the bench, and then you don't come off for quite some time, especially if you are a young player. But that is not the tack that the Eagles are going to take with Miles Sanders here, despite the fact that Jordan Howard's in that backfield. You've also got Darren Sproles as well. Now, look, they could be blowing a little bit of smoke here, and maybe that Howard is going to have an increased role on Thursday night. But I agree, or I believe Groh, I should say, when he says they're not going to bury Sanders on the bench. They're going to continue to give him chances to make plays. And not only holding on to the football, he's also got to make the right reads. They want him to put the foot in the ground and get vertical up the field. He's got to do a little bit more of that. They need this running game to get going eventually.
Jordan Howard, a guy that does have, obviously, some experience at Lambeau Field as a former Bear. So maybe they take him out of the garage a little bit more. That remains to be seen. That game is coming up on Thursday. We have both teams covered. Thank you. Mike Garafolo there with the Eagles, and now Stacey Dales here with the Packers, joining us inside Lambeau. Beautiful Lambeau Field. Hi there, Stacey Dales. We got a 3-0 team. They're the home team, obviously, this week, riding high. What can we expect from the Packers Thursday night?